This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome again to the HPT. This week we crown a champion from the Ameristar Casino here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. I'm Fred Bevel. This lovely lady is Maria Ho, and my friend, our first trip to Vicksburg has been a memorable one.
The people have been amazingly nice. It is no wonder that the state slogan is the hospitality state. The poker action here at Ameristar has been white hot all week, and now we're at the final stage of this final table as we grind our way down to a champion.
We're just a few eliminations away from meeting our newest champion, but there's a lot of poker yet to be played. Maria, so far these players don't seem to be bothered by the TV cameras and the audience. They've been very composed despite all the fanfare that comes with making one of our TV final tables.
All of these guys are true gentlemen of the game, and they could all be our next champion. As they say, slow and steady wins the race. Patience, poise, and persistence will pay off big for one of these players.
Let's meet our players at the final table and then take a look at what they're playing for and their chip counts.
Jackson White from Houston, Texas, and I do poker for a living.
My name is Albert Campbell. I'm from Utica, Mississippi. Well, I call myself a cowboy, just ain't got no horse.
Chris Booth, I'm an attorney from Vidalia, Louisiana.
My name is Doug. Most people call me Captain around here and live here in Vicksburg.
I am Jay Bishop. I'm from Pearl, Mississippi, and I am an elected official from Rankin County. My plans for cash today is I have 2 kids in college, so I'm sure it won't take long to suck it up.
This is the first major tournament that I've ever been in. I was expecting it to be more of a learning experience, which it has been, but it'd be nice to get some money out of it too.
If I win this event, it'd kind of be local bragging rights. I'd have a lot of fun with it, with the guys, you know.
HPT is great. It has a great structure, great dealers, and the players are fun to play with, very fun.
Wait for some good hands and shove it all in.
Our final 6 players are all looking to take home that top prize of $39,129. Second ain't bad though, just under $25,000. And our 6th place finisher is going to take home $6,725.
And here is what the remaining 6 are continuing with as we work our way down to our newest HPT champion.
Chris Booth has a nice chip lead going into 6-handed play with $920,000. Jay Bishop has $754,000. Albert Campbell with over $500,000, very comfortable. And we got 3 short stacks here. Jackson, Benjamin, and Douglas have a lot of work to do.
Blinds continuing at this final table at $8,000, $16,000 with a $2,000 chip ante. We're at the Ameristar Casino in Vicksburg, Mississippi. What a fun property this was to visit this week. As Jay Bishop peels back pocket sixes. Great hotel, delicious dining, and the poker action, Maria, you'd have fun at these tables.
I feel like if you can win, I could.
Ain't that the truth?
Jay raises it to $35,000 with pocket sixes.
Douglas is going to fold his suited connectors. We now move over to Jackson White.
Jackson started this final table with a chip lead, but now he's down to a 12 big blind stack, looking for a good spot to get all of his chips in.
I'm gonna call.
And Chris is going to make the call with Queen 10 suited. Now over to Albert Campbell. Very animated player at this final table. A lot of fun to watch. Albert is going to make the call. So 3-handed going to the first flop of the night here.
Flop is King 8 deuce, couple of diamonds, which means Albert has a flush draw now. Jay's sixes has really shriveled up here with that flop.
See if Jay can fire a continuation bet. He'd definitely get rid of Chris. Pretty sure Albert would stay around. 55,000 is the bet from Jay.
And I think if I were Jay, I would have c-bet too. It's not that terrible of a flop, and you are in position. But now that Albert's calling here, I think that's going to slow Jay down on the turn.
Especially if a diamond comes on the turn. Let's see what happens. It's the 10 of spades, so right now J6 is still the best. Albert has picked up a gut shot straight draw to go with his flush draw.
And Jay decides that he wants to continue to try to get Albert off of whatever hand he may have. Jay bets 100,000. And now that Albert's turned more outs with his gut shot, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think he's going to raise, though, either. I think he's planning on just calling and hoping to hit on the river, which may give Jay an opening to just show this hand down.
He does make the call. Be curious to see if Albert fires if he misses. The river is the 3 of diamonds, so Albert has hit the flush.
And I think Jay knows that this is probably one of the worst cards he could see, and I don't think he's planning on doing anything other than folding, especially now that Albert's betting.
Did you really just hit a flush, man?
150,000 is the bet.
He asked if he hit the flush, but he can't even beat a lot of other hands that Albert might be betting the river with, so I think he's just posturing now.
He was ahead until that diamond fell on the river. He had the right read, but as my friend Maria just said, a lot of other hands beat pocket sixes as well. So Albert is going to win a nice sized pot here as we continue 7-handed on our way to an HPT champion from the Ameristar here in Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Thanks for joining us here on the HPT. We're at Ameristar in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Let's get back to all the action. And now the chip lead has changed hands to Albert Campbell, who has 725,000 now. Chris Booth still healthy with 688,000. And on the short stacks is Jackson White and Douglas Seegers with 9 and 8 big blinds respectively.
8 and 9 big blinds is pretty much all in or fold and pretty much an auto call for any other stack at the final table, wouldn't you say, Maria?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of hands that you can call a 9 or an 8 big blind shove with. And, you know, now that it's 6-handed, I think you can expect everybody, hopefully, to be widening their range, both opening and calling. The blinds are up to 10,000, 20,000 with a 3,000 ante.
My man, Albert.
And being the first person to come into this pot on the cutoff, just limping in with ace-king, you know, I'll tell you this, if I was at this final table, I would be confused.
Well, maybe the man has a plan with ace-king here. The small blind is going to complete. The big blind is going to check his option. So 3-handed as we go to the flop.
And as you can see, ace-king isn't that far ahead of jack-9 here, and he's just going to let them into the pot without having to put more chips in. Flop is jack-6-4, all diamonds. That's an interesting flop. It gives Doug top pair of jacks and Albert the second nut flush draw.
Ben Mintz just hoping to get lucky with king 5 from the small blind. That obviously hasn't worked out. And look at this, Maria. Douglas wants to end the hand right now. He is going to go all in. It's only 131,000.
And you know, it's just weird because both Doug and Ben have fairly short stacks. It was a very easy situation for Albert pre-flop to just raise and get it in with them, and now he has to kind of think about it.
I think this is an easy call for Albert. He's got the second nut flush, plus he still has 2 overcards to the board here.
I would absolutely call a lot faster than Albert did too, but I think he confused himself by just limping in, and then he was a little bit concerned. He wasn't sure where he was at, but yes, I think it's a definite call there.
Well, Albert is going to see that he is behind, but he's got 14 outs to improve.
The turn is the 6 of spades. It's not what Albert was looking for.
So an ace, a king, or a diamond is what Albert will need to eliminate Douglas. The 10 of spades is a blank, and now Douglas is going to double up.
And that just goes to show this hand could have played out so differently had Albert just come in with a raise pre-flop. And now he's just going to double up Douglas, and it just wasn't the optimal play, I think, for the situation.
Blinds continuing at 10 and 20,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. In action in this hand, we'll start with Doug Seegers, fresh off the double up. And look at this. He's got the best drawing hand in poker. Ace-king showing up a lot at this final table. Completely love that play as he moves all in.
And he's only got 12 big blinds, so it's obviously a great hand, so he's going to shove with it.
Jackson peels back pocket jacks, and he's going to go all in to isolate.
Jackson just has a few more big blinds than Douglas does. Jacks for Jackson.
I was just thinking that. If you can't win with a name like Jackson when you're holding pocket jacks, start playing backgammon.
So just another flip that Jackson has found himself in at this final table. Both very meaningful pots.
Situation like this earlier. Where was that? Right here?
Flop is 6-6-8. So far, Jacks are in the clear here.
Just need to fade the ace or the king for Jackson to double up and stay alive.
We should make the viewers at home play a drinking game every time we say Jacks in this hand. Jacks for Jackson.
Wow, you just made 4 people drunk.
Take a shot.
The 10 of spades on the turn here.
Jacks are still good. Jackson's looking to double up here.
All right, people are falling behind
okay,
now.
all right.
I like your spirit, though. Ace or king on the river is the only thing that's going to help Doug.
The river is the 4 hearts, and that is going to be good enough to eliminate Douglas here in 6th place. Jackson got a much-needed padding to his short stack.
The one-time chip leader now gets a double up. Let's see if he can grab a little momentum and keep building that stack. As Douglas does what every classy competitor does, walks around the table and shakes hands and wishes everybody luck. Maria, you know this better than anybody. When you start a hand in a poker game, you generally have a plan. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. These guys are learning those lessons the hard way. More poker when we come back. Welcome back to the Ameristar Casino here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. I'm Fred Bevel. She's Maria Ho. We started this table with 9, and now we are down to 5. Let's get back to this final table.
Jay Bishop is our chip leader with 831,000. Albert Campbell in the second spot with 673,000. But as you can see, because the blinds keep going up, even Chris here with 486,000 only has 20 big blinds. Blinds are up 12,000, 24,000 with a 3,000 ante.
Ben Mintz is all in with King Jack offsuit.
It's good enough for him. It's good enough for me.
Action is going to fold all the way around now to Jay Bishop. And Jay is going to make the call. He's going to see he's behind, but 2 live cards.
I think that might be a little bit on the looser side of a call for Jay against 11 big blinds. I mean, they are 5-handed. It's close. The flop is deuce 10-4, all clubs. So that's interesting. Jay's flop top pair, but Ben does have the king of clubs and 2 overs.
They would have all gotten in the middle on this flop anyway, I think.
Daddy, we're dead flip. I mean, we're just flipping a coin right now.
Ben's exactly right.
Well, that sucks for me.
Well, Ben's welcome to do my taxes anytime with that quick math.
I was like, I got went from 58% to 51% on the flop.
Again, he's dead right.
Turns the ace of hearts. Well, that's an interesting card because now a queen would give Ben a straight, but Ben's jack would give Jay a straight, but it has to be a jack that's not a club.
How about a deuce of hearts?
Sounds revolting to me.
Ben hoping to find an out that saves his tournament life on the river. Here it comes.
River's the 4 of diamonds, and that's not going to do it for Ben, and he's going to be eliminated in 5th place. I think he played a great game. There wasn't really any big mistakes that I saw, so I think he should be proud of that.
Thanking everybody as he walks off the final table set. Great guy. I'm going to buy him a beer when this is all done. And then there were 4, my friend, as the blinds continue at 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. Chris is going to raise it up to 100,000 with ace jack.
Big raise from Chris, 4xing it from under the gun. These players are starting to play for that big money up top here, so every hand and every chip is so important. Jackson looks down at 4s and he's just wondering if he should go with it.
All in.
He does move all in.
Just me and you, right?
And it's 254,000 more for Chris to call, so I feel like you probably have to call in this spot. I think Jackson's going to do that with pretty much all of his pairs.
I'm going to call.
Chris does make the call, and he's going to see he's slightly behind.
Yeah, you got to call.
Let's flop 3 aces. Come on.
Maria, pull a quarter out of your pocket, and let's call it heads or tails.
That 4 though.
Jackson hoping for blanks on this board.
Ooh, and a set is pretty good for Jackson. Chris does connect with top pair, but he's going to need runner to make a better hand.
Man, I thought I had you.
As long as the turn's not a jack or an ace, Jackson's going to look really good here.
The turn is the 8 of spades, so now Chris drawing dead. Jackson is going to double up to just over 730,000.
You know, timing is everything in this game. Sometimes you're just going to flop a set here, and it's going to be a really good spot for you.
The insignificant 5 of spades falls on the river, and Maria, just like that, Jackson once was the chip leader. He lost that in a huge pot and kind of sat at the bottom of the ladder for most of this final table since then, but this double up moves him up to second in chips.
This is basically his peak chip stack, all final table here, and he's got 31 big blinds. Chris Booth, though, is down to 5 big blinds after that hand.
5 big blinds at the 12, 24, 3,000 ante level. Once again, Ace-King makes an appearance here at the Ameristar in Vicksburg, Mississippi.
So that means Albert's going to limp, right?
Albert has been playing these big hands a little slower than most.
40. 44. It'd be 48, ain't it? 48. 48.
Albert wanted to bet just 44, but he may not be aware that the blinds are now 12 and 24, so the minimum raise is to 48, and that's what he does. And Jay is going to pop it with pocket 10s here.
And I like that. I think four-handed 10s is just so strong. And, you know, Albert isn't exactly the tightest player at this table. So when he raises under the gun four-handed and you have 10s behind him, I would 3-bet too.
Action now on Jackson. He's not too quick to fold here, so he must have something. As he takes a third look at the cards and then mucks.
All in.
Now over to Chris Booth, and Chris is going to go all in with the Brunson hand, 10 deuce.
Chris decides that he's got good odds to go all in here with 10 deuce, but I think the problem is his hand is not too live, and I can't believe that Albert just folded ace king like that. I don't think that that's the hand that I'm going to be folding with 27 big blinds. Four-handed, I think I would have reshoved all in there.
Well, Chris now sees the bad news. Both Jay and Chris are holding 10s. So both players table their hands, and Chris sees he's in a bad way as Jay's holding pocket 10s. So Chris is going to need to hit at least trip deuces to stay alive at this final table.
And the flop is king 9-7, 2 spades. And that's pretty much it for Chris. I think Albert's kind of looking at that flop thinking I would have hit top pair here.
You can see the statistic, Chris is less than 1%, and that less than 1% just went out the door with a 9 of hearts on the turn. So Chris is drawing dead here. No need to have all this drama going into the river.
The river brings the ace of clubs, and Chris is going to be our 4th place finisher.
Chris, one of the players at this final table that enjoyed a very, very comfortable chip stack, but a few flips go the wrong way, and boy, it doesn't take much.
Another knockout here at our nationally televised final table, coming to you from Vicksburg, Mississippi, here at the Ameristar Casino Hotel. When we come back, more exciting final table action. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT here in Vicksburg, Mississippi at the Ameristar Casino Hotel. Only 3 players remain, and if you ask me, Freddie, it's anybody's game, and we'll see who our new champion is going to be. So let's head back to the poker room and resume final table coverage.
And now we're down to 3 players remaining. The money is usually in the top 2 or 3 spots, so I feel like they're all pretty excited, but Jay Bishop should be the most excited because he has the chip lead with 1.4 million. Jackson White is in the second chip position with 708,000. Albert Campbell is our short stack with 20 big blinds.
The big money bubble has now popped, Maria, as we are three-handed. Blind still at 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante.
Action starts with Jay Bishop on the button, and he's just going to fold King 10 offsuit. And, you know, when you're playing three-handed and you have the chip lead, I really don't like that fold.
You know, interesting about that, I was talking with Joe Cata, and he brought up a good point that a lot of players, especially amateur players, don't have a lot of short-handed experience because when you play the daily casino events, a lot of times players are going to chop at 6, 7, 8, 9-handed. So when we get down to this 5, 4, 3, and even heads up, a lot of players don't have a lot of experience there.
Yeah, that's a great point by Joe. That's absolutely a really good reason for why I think they're kind of not sure what to do in these spots. Jackson raises from the small blind with 8-6, and Albert's going to make the call.
The flop is 7, Queen, Jack, all diamonds. Both players are holding a diamond, but they're low.
I can see Jackson c-betting here, but I don't see Albert going anywhere. Unfortunately, I like the aggression coming from Jackson, though that's exactly what you need to be doing when you're short-handed. You have to be putting the pressure on the shorter stacks.
And Albert with middle pair here has got to feel pretty good. I mean, it's tough to make a pair at any time, but three-handed especially.
And he does have a diamond to go with it as well.
The turn is the king of diamonds. So both players have a flush, but Albert a little bit bigger with the 8 of diamonds in his hand.
And I think at this point, Jackson should probably just check because with the 6 of diamonds, he's kind of just bluff catching. I don't think if he bets, he's going to get called by worse. But if he checks, he could get Albert to try to bluff with no diamond in his hand.
Albert called that very, very quickly. That's got to set off some alarms in Jackson's head.
And I believe because both players have fairly low flushes, the river will probably go check, check.
The river is the 10 of clubs. So Albert has the best hand. Let's see if Jackson tries to push him off of it.
I don't mind Jackson's aggression. I just feel like Albert's not the kind of person that would fold a flush, even if it's fairly small. But I think Jackson's betting so small here because he figures, you know, if Albert has a worse hand, he could get called here. But now Albert does the strangest thing here and just decides to raise, just min raising too, with just a small flush. And, you know, it's going to work obviously because Jackson didn't have a better hand, but I don't really understand that river raise, to be honest.
Big pot going to Albert's way.
So now Jackson and Albert after that hand have basically flip-flop positions. Jackson's become our short stack with 448,000.
Flopped it or turned it? Huh? Flopped it or turned it?
Blind still at 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. Jay Bishop folds under the gun. And now we are over to Jackson. Not a big hand, but why not bet into a blind hand of the big blind?
And I do really, really like this aggression I see from Jackson. I just think that at some point, Albert might be the wrong person to do that against, but you really never know. You might get a fold. I don't have any problems with Jackson trying to take the reins a little bit here because it doesn't seem like Jay wants to with the chip lead.
Well, unfortunately for Jackson, Albert is waking up with very playable hands in short-handed poker. Right now he's got King 10. And an easy call in my book. So again, these two are going to clash here. Jackson going to the flop behind, but has 2 live cards.
And the flop is ace, queen, jack, 2 clubs, and Albert's flopped Broadway with a backup running flush draw. It's just been kind of an unfortunate situation for Jackson. I think he's trying to do the right thing by staying aggressive, but like you said, Albert's just got playable hands and, you know, he's smashing this flop.
Albert takes a second look at his cards to make sure he does indeed have the nuts
And if he doesn't slow play this, then then I'm not really sure what to say.
Well, he is. He just makes the call. Worst thing for Jackson now would be a jack or a 3 on the turn. If a club falls on the turn, Jackson might be able to get away with it. My experience, Maria, usually when a player checks their cards again, they're checking to see if they have the suits.
The turn is the deuce of diamonds, and, you know, that's a pretty blank card for Jackson, and I think he's trying to bet again to protect his hand. He thinks that Albert might have a lot of different draws, the flush draw, a gut shot straight draw of some sort, and he just really doesn't want him to get there. Unfortunately, Albert's already there.
Albert's been there. Albert's eating lunch there right now.
I call.
120 is the bet from Jackson. Let's see if Albert just smooth calls it again, and that's what he does. He's playing this hand very, very well.
He's definitely disguising the strength of his hand the whole way here.
Making it look like a draw.
And the river is a blank 6, and I don't think that's good for Jackson.
Jackson announces all in, which is going to be $210,000 for Albert to call.
I call.
And that's what he does.
And Jackson knows that he's just bluffed into a way better hand than his. And, you know, unfortunately for Jackson, he stayed aggressive and it just didn't work out for him. But, you know, sometimes that's the way it goes. But I do commend his play.
Jackson will be going to the cage to collect a little over $16,000 for his great run at the HPT here at the Ameristar in Vicksburg. When we come back, heads up for the championship. Maria, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard you say anything can happen in No Limit Poker, I could make a phone call. We are now heads up, just like that.
At the start of Heads Up Play, we got Jay Bishop in the chip lead with just over 1.4 million. Albert not too far behind with over 1.1 million. In Heads Up Play, the button is the small blind as well. First to act is going to be Albert here.
Blind still at 12 and 24 with a 3K. I've enjoyed Albert's play at this final table a lot, but I think he may have had the most tumultuous roller coaster ride here as we work our way to Heads Up.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say Albert has been the most active player at this final table, and now he's finding himself heads up, and I think heads up is definitely a good place to be very, very active.
Well, Albert limped in to this pot with Queen 8. Jay raised it with pocket 7s, and looks like Albert is going to make the call here.
And I do like that Albert limped here because I think you should be limping with hands that you want to call a raise with, because you don't want to raise with Queen 8 because you having to call a 3-bet. It's going to be a lot more chips to have to call a 3-bet if you raise with Queen 8. So I think that's a pretty good play.
Jack 5-7 Rainbow is the flop. So look at that. Jay flops a set.
And this is like exactly what I said. Jay just checks it over to Albert. When somebody raises pre-flop and then they check, you know, a flop, you expect them to continuation bet. You know, it should set off some alarm bells. But for Albert, he's still going to try to take this opportunity to take the pot away. And, you know, if Jay's going to check here and slow play, then I hope he's just going to check call and not check raise. The board's very dry. There are no draws practically.
Love to see Jay just call here. No sense to raise, as Albert would need perfect to pull out a weird kind of a straight on this board.
Jay does just call, and the turn is the 3 of diamonds.
So now Jay has the best hand. He cannot lose unless somehow Albert can push him off of this hand, which I don't think he can. But look at that. Albert just keeps firing. It's another 100,000. And right now, in Jay's mind, there's a parade going on.
And if I were Jay, I would just call again. There are no backdoor flush draws.
You got some of that?
See, this is where I think players make a mistake. You've just got a guy, you know you're going to win. You've just got a guy bet into you, and now you're going to ask if he's got a piece of that. If I'm in Albert's spot, I know I'm dead to rights right now.
Yeah, Jay's going to call, and, you know, Albert kept his turn size bet fairly small, so it's not costing him that much to run this bluff. Let's see if he's going to try to fire again on the river.
King of Diamonds falls on the river.
I'm all in.
And now Jay is going to make a big boy bet to $782,000, which would put Albert all in if he makes the call. Maria with just Queen High, we all know he's not going to make this call.
Yeah, Yeah, and I don't mind Jay shoving into Albert there. I think he knows Albert's probably not going to put him all in on the river with just complete air, but there might be a slight chance he would call his bet, but Albert just didn't have anything there.
Blinds are going up. They're now 15 and 30,000 with a 4,000 chip ante. Albert peels back ace-9 of spades, a monster in heads-up poker. Albert's going to raise it up to 90,000 as Jay looks down at Raggedy and Raggedy. But he is going to make the call with Queen 4.
And the flop is 10-5 deuce, 2 hearts. Albert's ace high still good.
Jay checks it over to Albert. Albert, the pre-flop raiser, is going to fire the continuation bet. Once again, 90,000.
300.
And wow, a check raise from Jay here. Maria, what are your thoughts on this?
I like it. This is what I like to see. Remember, in heads-up play, it's so hard to make hands. You have to do things like this, and people are going to be c-betting all the time, and you can't just check fold to them just because you don't connect. I mean, granted, Jay doesn't, have much backdoor equity at all. He has no hearts. He has not a whole lot of anything, but he has guts, and that's all it's going to take here to get Albert to fold the best hand.
Nice check raise there by Jay. Looking to close the door and become our new HPT champion. Amazing. Maria, thousands of dollars rest on every decision these players make, and all the while they're doing it, they're in front of a national television camera. These guys have a lot of poise. More poker when we come back.
Welcome back to the HPT here on a beautiful day in Vicksburg, Mississippi, right outside the Ameristar Casino Hotel. We are finally heads up. 2 players remain. Let's get back to final table action.
Jay Bishop is trying to pull away from Albert Campbell. Jay's all the way up to $2 million. Albert's got 20 big blinds, which is 606,000 in chips.
I'm going to be honest, when we were 9-handed, Jay probably wasn't my first pick to be the eventual champion, but I think his game is really, really good. He's shown me a lot here at this final table. Maria, what do you think of his game?
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely picked it up, and I feel like Jay's been showing us a few moves here that's really worked well against a player like Albert.
Momentum is all on Jay Bishop's side right now, hoping to close the door on this HPT championship here from the Ameristar in Vicksburg, Mississippi. As Jay is going to raise it up from the button here to 75,000 with Jack Deuce of Hearts.
Albert looks down at Queen 8 offsuit.
And Albert is going to make the call.
And the flop is Jack 4, 10, 2 spades. So Jay has flopped top pair. You should always be pretty happy with top pair and heads up play. Albert has a gut shot though. He checks it over to him. In this situation, I think I would call one if I were Albert. I have 1 overcard to the board. I have a gut shot. I think there's probably some situation somewhere I could take the pot away from Jay, even if he has a piece of this.
Albert does make the call of 75,000 as the 8 of spades falls on the turn. So now Albert's got a piece of this.
Yeah, and that's actually not a bad card either to represent a hand that could beat Jay's. But he does check.
And Jay slows down with that 3rd spade falling on the turn, and now there's 4 spades on the board with the 3 of spades on the river.
And this is exactly the kind of run out that I was talking about after Albert calls the flop. He could bet this river comfortably, but 55,000 is not going to get Jay off of top pair. I'm thinking more like 2/3 pot would get Jay off top pair with that run out. But no, Albert had the right idea. I just don't think it was the right amount, and Jay's going to win this pot.
Another pot here heads up going Jay's way, this time just a little under 420,000 as his mountain gets a little bit bigger. Time now for one of our favorite segments in the show. We call it A Poker Life, featuring the legend himself, Doyle Brunson. Doyle has met every character in the game throughout the entire history of the game. One of the more prominent characters is Jack Treetop Strauss. Doyle tells us how those two crossed paths for the very first time.
I met Jack Strauss in San Antonio, Texas. Texas, you've never been there. There's different areas, North Texas, East Texas, West Texas, South Texas. And he was known as the best player in South Texas. And I was known as the best player in West Texas and maybe East Texas. Now, I'd heard of him and he'd heard of me, and he's the most entertaining guy that I've ever been around. I mean, he could just, so personable and just could tell stories and always, you know, he liked to poke fun at himself, you know, which is a pretty unique quality. And we just hit it off right away. And in fact, that picture right there on the wall, I'll never forget, Strass owed me $10,000. And he said, well, I can't pay you, but I've got this picture from some French artist. He said, it may be worth a lot of money. He said, I don't know. He says, especially if he dies, he might be worth a lot of money. I never had it examined. I wasn't going to get the $10,000 anyway. So I took the picture, and we've had it in our home for 40 or 50 years. And someday I'm going to get an art expert to see if it is worth anything. I don't know.
Wow, I thought there were a lot of characters in poker now, but definitely in Doyle's day, there were a lot more. Come back for more action here at Ameristar Casino in Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Thanks for coming back to the HPT. We're at the Ameristar Casino here in Vicksburg, Mississippi with Maria Ho. I'm Fred Bevel, and Maria, a poker match can be a lot like a roller coaster. With this one, you might need a barf bag. Let's get right back to the action.
Jay looks to be in great shape to close the door on Albert here and take down this HPT title. With $2.4 million, he has an overwhelming chip lead against Albert's $194,000, which is just 6 big blinds.
One of these two gentlemen will be our newest HPT champion and go to the K's to collect a little under $40,000 for their efforts. And that pretty much says it all. It's been a long weekend of poker for these guys.
I'd go all in here with 6 big blinds and queen 6 of clubs, but Albert looks like he's just going to limp in. And, you know, once again, I think just to reiterate what you said, Joe Cata said, is just I think they are not too sure of what are good hand ranges to go all in with, shorthanded or heads up. And, you know, and once again, Jay decides to raise to 180K when I think he should just put Albert all in. And it's kind of like the same result happened. You know, Albert's going to call with queen 6 of clubs, but he could have been the first one to move in. But I think the same results, no matter what, Jay is way ahead, has Albert dominated.
Wow.
And as the hands are tabled here, Jay sees he is got a huge advantage over Albert. Both players have the queen. Jay has him out kicked with the 8. So only 3 outs will save Albert's tournament life.
Didn't take long at all.
Albert's looking for some clubs or a 6. A flop is 10-7 deuce rainbow. So no help to Albert. Jay's a 74% favorite to win this hand here.
Everybody in the room on their feet.
The turn is the queen, and now Albert has outs to chop here. The 8 still plays at this moment, but there's a lot of cards that could come for them to chop this hand.
A 6 would give Albert the win. And it's the 6. Albert hits lightning in a bottle for the double up. Sit back down, everybody. We're not done yet here in Vicksburg. So the dealer stacking the chips to get the exact count on Albert's stack.
And that definitely gives Albert some life left in this heads-up match, but he's still got a long ways to go. 12 big blinds is not very many.
Jay doesn't look like he's too flustered at all, nor should he be. He still has a huge, huge chip advantage as we continue at 15 and 30,000 with a 4,000 chip ante.
Albert looks down at 10-3 of clubs. Thinking if he wants to gamble here.
He says, yeah, I do. Raises it to 140.
And Jay should just put him all in here with ace-4.
That's exactly what he does, and a really, really quick call from Albert. I'm kind of surprised at that.
I just think that if you're going to call a shove with 10-3 suited, why didn't you just go all in yourself? So I'm not really quite understanding or loving that, but here we go again. Jay has another chance to eliminate Albert.
Flop is 5-4-10.
And Albert has flopped top pair. Jay's flop bottom pair, so Once again, Albert's looking to double up here, and Jay might get a little bit more frustrated if he were to lose this pot.
If Albert can hold on and win this pot, he'd have just over 600,000, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen as the ace of hearts falls on the turn. Jay's ready to take it too. Look at him.
You can't suck out twice, man.
Both these players, a lot of fun to watch.
But sure be trying.
And the river is the 6 of diamonds. We have our newest HPT champion. His name is Jay Bishop. And Maria, hats off to Albert Campbell, a fun guy to watch play poker.
He should be happy about taking home over $24,000 for his efforts today.
When day 1A started here at the Ameristar in Vicksburg, everybody wanted to be standing where that man is right now. Jay Bishop, our newest HPT champ. Congratulations, sir. Well, my friend, this final table has showcased everything. Bad beats, hero calls, just a roller coaster of emotions throughout. And now we have our newest champion. But first, let's talk to Albert, who took second place. He's standing by with James Larson.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm now joined with our second place finisher. And folks, give him a round of applause. This is Cincinnati. You played great all day long. Second place, not too bad. How do you feel?
Feel pretty good. And I just want to say, for the lack of experience of head up, and for tournaments, that's the reason I don't like to chop.
Well, the good news is with your payday, we talked off camera, now you can finally buy your horse.
Man, I'm going to sell some stud feet.
What are you going to name your horse?
What's his name?
His name is Jay.
Jay Jr.
He's going to name his horse Jay Jr. Give him a round of applause, everybody. His name is Albert. We call him Cincinnati. Second place here on the HPT. Maria and Fred.
Thank you very much, James Larson, and congratulations again to Albert. Maria. Jay is the name of our newest HPT champion, and I think he's earned it. He is down on the floor with our sideline reporter and a whole lot of cash.
All right, thanks so much, Freddie and Maria. We are now joined with our new HPT champion. Give it up for Jay Bishop, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, well, we're down here on the floor. I've got George Stadler with me, the general manager here at the Ameristar Casino, Vicksburg, Mississippi. We're so happy for you. What's going through your mind?
And I'm in disbelief right now, so I'm just thrilled that it worked out. I'm still don't have words to say for it, to be honest with you. I'm just tickled to death, and I'm proud that the dealers gave me the cards I did, so otherwise it wouldn't happen.
Got to give a little credit to second place, though, Cincinnati. He played great all day as well.
He did. Absolutely.
And George, I want you to say a few words. You got to be happy. First trip here to Mississippi, and I think we got a pretty good champion to represent you.
I think we do, and again, if he's happy, I'm happy. So that's the main thing. So I'm glad that you're a part of our first tournament here, and I know you're going to be a part of it for the rest of them to come.
Dang right.
Yep, I'm excited for you. I can hardly talk.
Yeah, we're all very excited because we've got some cash here, and we're going to celebrate right here, Mississippi style. This is my first trip here, but so far, so good. So once again, congratulations to our new champion. His name is Jay Bishop. He's going home with the cash and the title. Freddie and Maria?
Thanks again, James, and congratulations again to Jay and Albert and everybody at this final table. Maria, it's been a whirlwind. Tell me what your thoughts are on this play.
It kind of started out like a cat and mouse game for a little bit. Everybody was just feeling each other out, and then all of a sudden, we had two knockouts back to back, leaving us heads up. I think both players played well, and they both deserved to win, but you know what? Tonight was Jay's night.
Yeah, it was just in the cards, as they say. Now, do you think you have what it takes to sit down at our TV final table and play for unreal cash? I think you might. We'll log on to hptpoker.com and find an event near you. I promise you'll have a lot of fun and you won't spend too much money buying me drinks. For Maria Ho and James Larson, I'm Fred Bevel. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. get you out, but I'll take you down. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack on cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.